Alright, so my first molecule is SF4, and the Lewis dot structure for that would be an S, and you would then put an F. Since there's four F's, you put four F's and a bond in between each, and 6 on each one, and you would have 2 left over, so you would put a lone pair on the S. And then my VSEPR is AX4E because it has 4 orbitals, 1 central atom, and 1 lone pair. And the shape name is a seesaw trigonal bipyramidal, but the original is a trigonal bipyramidal, but since that lone pair is there, it turns it into a seesaw. And the shape is like so, and each one is 120 degrees, and this is the lone pair, and each one of these is an F. This is a single bond. These are all single bonds, and then this is your S. And then the bond angle are all less than 120 degrees in between them all, because this weighs them down. This weighs this down, making the bond angle smaller. The bond polarity, the F is more electromagnetic than the S, so therefore it is going to pull that way, and the arrow is going to go from the S to the F. Hybrid orbitals, sp3d. The pi and sigma bond, it has 4 sigma bonds because a sigma bond is a single bond, and it has 0 pi bonds because a pi bond is one with multiple bonds. The intermolecular force is covalent because both of these are non-metal, so that makes a covalent. And the intermolecular forces is dipole to dipole. The formal charges are 0. Resonance structure, there are no resonance bonds, so therefore there's no resonance structure. So the type of octet is expanded because a complete octet would be just these 8 electrons, because each bond is 2 electrons, but since it has this lone pair, that adds on another 2 electrons, so that means it's expanded and more than 8. And the bond order is 1 because there are only single bonds and nothing greater. Alright, so my second molecule is SO4 2-. The Lewis dot structure is an S in the middle, 4 O's on the outside, a single bond in between each O and S, and 6 electrons on each O. And since that uses up all of your electrons, there's no need to have a lone pair on the S. The VSEPR is AX4. A is for the 1 central atom it has, and the X is for how many orbitals it has, and since it has 4 orbitals, it'll have X4. The shape name is tetrahedral. The bond angle is 109.5 degrees. The shape is like so. 109.5 degrees would also be, the 109.5 degrees would also be all the way around on every single angle you can find. The bond polarity is, since O is more electromagnetic than S, then the arrow would be going from S to O. And the polarity as a whole is non-polar because that means it's balanced because it has no lone pairs. Alright, your hybrid orbitals for SO4 2- would be sp3. Your pi/sigma bonds, you would have, out of your pi bonds you would have 4, and your sigma bonds you would have 4, and your pi bonds would be 0 because a sigma bond is a single bond and it has 4 single bonds, and it has 0 pi bonds or 0 multiple bonds. Your intermolecular force would be covalent because both of these elements are non-metals. Your intramolecular force would be London dispersion. Your formal charge would be -2. Your resonance structure would be none because there are no resonance bonds. Your type of octet would be complete because it has 8 electrons because of the 4 bonds. Each bond is 2 electrons. And your bond order is 1 because your highest bond is a single.